Hey y'all, I'm back with my September 2024 reading wrap up. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Books with Kimberly. Don't forget to like, comment, share my channel, and subscribe. Y'all, I'm so excited to be back and tell y'all all the books that I have read in the month of September. Well, the books that I've read so far, because technically I still have a day left to get some reading done, and I'm currently working on 2 books. So I'll be talking about those 2 books that I finished either in my October reading wrap up, or I'll come back with a part 2 for my September reading wrap up. In the month of September, I relied heavy on audiobooks to complete my reading goals. So far, I've read 6 books. 5 of them are audiobooks, and 1 of them is an ebook. Also, this month, I have been heavy into my fantasy bag, y'all. Every book that I am reviewing today is either a fantasy book or a romantasy book. So let's get into it. I'm going to start off with the 1 ebook that I've completed so far. And y'all, it was actually a short story. That book is The Black Gosh Drums by P. Djèlí Clark. I hope I am saying that name correctly. I also have to shout out Roussel Reads, her booktube channel, because she reviewed a book by P. Djèlí Clark on her August reading wrap up, and it inspired me to go pick this book back up from my DNF list. I actually started this book a year or 2 ago. I started the audiobook, but if you guys do not know, I am from Louisiana. And so I have a pet peeve when it comes to fake New Orleans, fake Creole, fake Cajun accents. The main character, Creeper, she has a very heavy Southern drawl, trying to give New Orleans accent vibes, and it was just not connecting with me. But I found the ebook on Kindle Unlimited, and so I was able to pick it back up and enjoy it much better this time around. This book takes place in New Orleans in the 1800s. Some of the genres of this book are science fiction, historical fantasy, as well as steampunk. I really love the vibes of this setting being in New Orleans, and we get introduced to Creeper. She is a 13-year-old, very spunky young Black girl. She is surviving the streets of New Orleans on her own. She pickpockets, but she's also very smart and very resourceful. And she also has a very deep connection to the African goddess Oya. Creeper overhears a conversation by some shiesty looking men who are talking about the Black Gosh drum and a Haitian scientist who has this drum, and he's going to be trading the drum for a jewel. She decides to go sell this information to a female captain of an airship. There was Haitian history. There was history on the Confederates who don't want Blacks to be freed, and they want things to go back to how they were before the war. And so they plan on using the Black Gosh drum, which is also called Shango's Thunder, in order to create this storm that will destroy New Orleans. I didn't really get into this book until the very end when all the action happens. One of my favorite things about this book was just how well it was written. This author did a great job of describing the scenes. There was a scene at the very end with all the action happening, and you just could really visualize it, and I really enjoyed that. I also really connected to this idea of the Black Gosh drum bringing down these storms that would destroy New Orleans. And as somebody who lives in Louisiana, hurricane season is very, very stressful for us. My prayers go out to everybody who has dealt with hurricanes this season. Just thinking back to Katrina and the destruction it caused on New Orleans, that part of the book when the stakes are high and this huge storm could come and destroy New Orleans, it really had me on the edge of my seat and building that tension. And I really had an emotional connection to this plot, which I really enjoyed. So overall, I give this book 4 stars, and I liked it, and I definitely recommend that y'all read it. So y'all, I was so ready to get done with this ACOTAR series, which is A Court of Thorns and Roses by Sarah J. Maas. So the first audiobook I listened to in the month of September was A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. As of today, it is the last one in the series. So I was really excited about finishing this series, wrapping it up, and moving on. Y'all, A Court of Silver Flames was so good. I will say it is my favorite book of the series. Now, I stand by everything I said last month when I said that this series is overhyped and I don't understand the hype, but I really enjoyed this one. What I really loved about this book is it's told from the perspective of Nesta Archeron, who is one of the sisters of Feyre. Nesta is grieving her father. She feels really guilty for her father's death, as well as some other things that have happened within the family. When she starts to feel that grief, that guilt, she likes to go to drinking or relations with different fae, and that has been her coping mechanism. But she ticks off Feyre and Rhysand, and they tell her she has to go live in the Court of Wind, I believe, and she is cut off from using money, and she has to train with Cassian, which her and Cassian have tension. You really see their relationship develop. I really love the character growth of Nesta. We see her start off, she does not know how to cope with her emotions, but we see her not only strengthening her body, but strengthening her emotions, strengthening her mental capacity. Like, she really becomes a stronger woman as the book continues. Again, I stand on this series being overhyped, but I must admit that reading this book made me want more of what Sarah J. Maas has to offer. So I did not completely give up on this author.
And I gave this book 5 stars.
So the next book that I read in the month of September was Lore of the Wilds. This book is written by
Analeigh Sbrana,
and it features diverse characters. This book has been categorized as a romantasy, a cozy romantasy. I did get the coziness, but it was not giving romantasy to me. It was more of a fantasy book with elements of romance. This book is about Lore, who is a human living in a fae-dominated world. They have no knowledge, no memory of their history. Lore really has this deep desire to run away from Desmere and find out the answers of her heritage and how the humans can get magic and take up for themselves and strengthen themselves against the Fae. She comes into contact with some royal Fae and they enlist her to work in this library. This book had a real coziness about it. There was a love triangle that didn't start to triangle until literally like 60% of the book. I will say that I was bored with this book. It didn't really hold my attention well. I found myself having to go back and try to put the pieces together. So this book was a letdown for me. I do think it's creative. I give this book 3 stars. Book number 4, because Lore of the Wilds did not give me that romantasy feel, I decided to go back to the Black Dagger Brotherhood series by J.R. Ward. This was another good installment in the Black Dagger Brotherhood series. This book is Lover Revealed, which is book 4 in the series. We get Butch, who is a former cop, and he is best friends with the Black Dagger Brotherhood. He's a human, but he is also dedicated to fighting enemies with the Black Dagger Brotherhood. And Marissa is a vampire. So we have civilian vampires, and then we have the Black Dagger Brotherhood. Their job is to protect the civilian vampires. I give this book 4 stars, and I loved how the romance was built between Marissa and Butch, and how the story unfolded with the two of them and how they could have a forever together if they were able to have a forever together. Book number 5 is Another book that was inspired by Roussel Reed. So shout out to her and her booktube channel. She did a video on series that she needs to finish, and she mentioned The School for Good and Evil. So this inspired me to get back into the School for Good and Evil series. I finished book 5, which is A Crystal of Time. Y'all know I love this series. I have been enjoying it since book 1. This was another good one. Tedros, who is the heir of King Arthur, his throne has been taken by 2 brothers who are also claiming that they are the heirs of King Arthur. And so in this book, we get a battle between the brothers and all of the School for Good and Evil kids. Agatha and Sophie are at the helm of protecting everybody and getting Tedros back on the throne. I give this book 4 stars. I thought it was good. It just wasn't one of the best. Like, it didn't have me on the edge of my seat the whole time. But at the end, I really started to get into it. What I really liked is that the character Rian, who is one of the brothers going against Tedros and wanting Tedros dead so that he can be the king of Camelot, you start to really question whether he is evil or not. And there's some great dialogue about defeating evil, and it reminded me of watching that first Black Panther. You started to really empathize with Michael B. Jordan's character, and I really enjoyed that moment. And I can't wait to finish this series with book 6, so hopefully I'll get that done this year. So book number 6, y'all, the whole month of September I had my mind on A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J. Maas. So much so that I started the Crescent City series, and book number 1 is House of Earth and Blood, and this is a part of the Crescent City series by Sarah J. Maas. This book is completely different from any series that I've read by her. Y'all, somebody called this book Halloween Town. You get angels, werewolves, fairies, all kinds of creatures, witches, living together in Crescent City. So it definitely was giving Halloween Town. I cannot get that out of my mind. The main character in Crescent City is Bryce, and Bryce is the female main character. And at the beginning of the book, you are hit in the heart because something very tragic happens to Bryce that shakes her world, turns it upside down. And so she goes on this journey with the angels who run the city, the archangel being Micah. Micah puts her under the protection of Hunt, and then you're getting this romance being built with Bryce and Hunt. I really enjoyed this book. The only thing that kept me from giving it 5 stars was the fact that the end, Sarah J. Maas just threw everything into that end. When I tell you it was so much going on, I kept being like, when is this story gonna end? I felt like she should have done a lot less with the ending. Other than that, I really enjoyed this story and give it 4 stars. Y'all, that is it for the books I read in the month of September. Stay tuned for what's to come. And thank you again for tuning in to a Books with Kimberly video.